Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're talking about a foreigner who's gone berserk here in Bangkok and got arrested. I haven't done a foreigners behaving badly video in a while. Not that there's lack of material, but part of it is, frankly, I don't like just making videos constantly talking about how foreigners are bad or something. That's not really the purpose here. But I do like to make these because, look, at the end of the day, and we are kind of in the thick of high season right now, or going into the real thick part with Christmas, New Year's, and then the aftermath of that in January. We get a lot of people that have a good time out here, and they go a little bit crazier than they would otherwise go. I also kind of had an affinity for this video. If you can't tell from the hair and everything, I've got some sort of Scandinavian blood in my background, and when I heard this sort of headline, it got me thinking. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article in the Thai Examiner. That's thaiexaminer.com. Article is titled, "Norwegian Man Sent to Hospital After He Went Berserk in Bangkok on Friday and Tried to Steal a Tuk-Tuk." Hey, don't mess with tuk-tuks. Okay, I'm not even kidding on this. Like, that's kind of a joke. Them tuk-tuk guys are not to be messed around with, okay? That said, quoting directly, "Norwegian man goes berserk in Bangkok, attacking a tuk-tuk driver and a woman on a bicycle." Come on. A woman on a bicycle? Some Thai woman is just trying to live her life? Really? Come on. Before fleeing through Sukhumvit, police arrested him near a hotel after a brief chase. He showed violent behavior in custody and was sent for a mental health assessment. I'm sure he enjoyed that ride. Quoting further, Bangkok police at Tonglo on Friday moved to have a crazed 22-year-old Norwegian sent to hospital for a mental health assessment. The action followed a burst of violent behavior in the busy Sukhumvit area. Firstly, I'm gonna redact this guy's name. I don't know if this guy had like an episode or something. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That said, firstly, name redacted, assaulted a tuk-tuk driver after trying to steal the vehicle in traffic. So this guy just ran out in the street and tried to carjack a guy's tuk-tuk in the middle of the road. Quoting further, moments later, he shoved a woman off her bicycle and fled. When officers arrested him, he continued to display violent conduct in custody. Quoting further, Bangkok police arrested a Norwegian man on Friday for 2 violent theft attempts in the Sukhumvit area. The incidents involved an attempted tuk-tuk hijacking and the theft of a woman's bicycle. And he failed at both. I mean, that's also important to point out. The man displayed erratic behavior. Well, yeah, trying to rip off tuk-tuks and bicycles in the middle of the street. Erratic behavior throughout the sequence. Officers said his actions escalated quickly as he moved between several Sukhumvit locations. Police later tested him for alcohol, but the results were negative. Toxicology results remain pending, so remains to be seen if he was on some other drug. The first incident occurred near Sukhumvit 25. A tuk-tuk driver, identified as Wasan, said the suspect approached him as if seeking directions. Moments later, the man shoved him from the vehicle. Wasan fell to the ground. The suspect then tried to start the tuk-tuk. However, the driver managed to remove the key before the man fled on foot. Police were alerted immediately. Yeah, that's the other thing. These tuk-tuk guys know the police. It's not like that there's some major disconnect between them and law enforcement. If you mess with them, you might as well, in a sense, be kind of messing with, it's like messing with the police. Very similar to the motorbike taxi drivers. Again, not guys you want to mess with on the streets of Bangkok. Meanwhile, look, we also get people here in Thailand that are just, it's unfortunate to say, they're just having a mental problem, they're just having an issue, whatever, and they just flip out and they think they can kind of I don't know, manifest their emotions or whatever you want to call it here. Personally, I'm not a real coddly person, especially to a guy who tries to rip off a woman of her bicycle on the street. Not cool by any stretch of the imagination. That said, maybe the guy he has some sort of mental problem. Again, the police are noting that they're putting this guy in for assessment, mental health assessment. That said, I imagine he's going to be detained until being deported from Thailand, and I expect whatever the outcome is, look, if it's determined, hey, this guy didn't have capacity, it's not his fault, you can't really blame him for, what he did, he was having some kind of mental problem. Yeah, great, let's still deport him and blacklist him so we don't have that problem here in Thailand. Look, as a naturalized Thai, I got no problem saying that, okay? I'm not trying to be lacking compassion, but, as long as they figure out, okay, he's healthy enough, we can get him on a plane and get him out of here, I can completely understand the idea of, hey, this is a problem that Thailand doesn't need. That being said, I think it's worth pointing out just to note the alacrity by which this person was apprehended and immediately detained, and now he's under basically review, under scrutiny for whether or not he has mental capacity. Again, I expect it'll be a fairly efficient process of adjudicating his guilt on the matter and then adjudicating whether or not he should be deported and likely blacklisted. I would not presume that this person's probably ever going to come back to Thailand, whether or not they could be deemed to be culpable for their actions, insofar as if they can be deemed to have capacity to be able to form intent to do the things that they did, or whether it's determined that they were either under the influence or something, or just, again, had a mental incident that they, again, lack competency and capacity. In any case, okay, you may not be culpable for some sort of crime, and the Thai authorities may not necessarily want to, like, put some, punish punitively in terms of sort of like a penal punishment, like a penalty in terms of like jail time or something. They may not decide to do that, and they may say, hey, look, it would be better if we go ahead and just deport this person. But I would not presume that this person is going to be allowed back into Thailand anytime soon, if ever.